We are watching in real time the anatomy of a hoax, but also, perhaps more consequently, the importance of having free speech networks not subservient to the media censorship industrial complex. Allow me to explain. I'm sure this entire past weekend you all saw the flood of headlines accusing President Trump of threatening a bloodbath, violence in other words, if he's not reelected to office. But you also are all well aware that the framing of those headlines is a hoax. Here's the full version of President Trump's comments from his campaign rally in Ohio, where he clearly indicates the bloodbath is in regards to the fate of the economy, and more specifically that of the auto industry. Watch.
If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
And not that it matters, because Democrats can say one thing one day and something completely different the next day without suffering any consequences for it due to their lock on the media. But I think it's still worth it to point out how Biden also threatened a bloodbath during his 2020 Democrat primary race. The context was him trying to cool the rhetoric being lobbed between his camp and that of Senator Bernie Sanders. Biden then reportedly told a group of his donors that, quote, "What we can't let happen is let this primary become a negative bloodbath," end quote. But who cares about context, right? That's what the media is teaching us right now. Biden said the word bloodbath, and so now it's fair game to spin it any way that we want. That's how the game works, right? Well, now this leads me to my main point tonight, which is how important it is to have free speech platforms like X, Rumble, and Truth Social, because despite going on a long rant on MSNBC about the bloodbath comment, host Joe Scarborough tweeted, quote, "Donald Trump's America, and he's proud of it. Promise another bloodbath if he loses again." And then he, Joe, attached a short video from January 6th to make his point. But guess what? Elon Musk swooped in to burst his bubble, replying, quote, "January 6th was not a bloodbath by any definition." And Trump was referring to job losses in the auto industry when he used that word. "Your post is extremely misleading," end quote. The best part is that Scarborough appears to have deleted his post. And while still ranting on his show about the bloodbath comment even today, but isn't that a clear indication that he knows his argument is full of it? At least I'd wager that more people view X than they do his show, so there's some cold comfort there. But just imagine how much worse these hoaxes would be if Jack Dorsey still ran Twitter. At least one tool that the left uses to rig elections has been removed from their hands. Joining us now to discuss all this and more is Jeff Clark, a former U.S. Assistant Attorney General and a senior fellow at the Center for Renewing America. Jeff, thanks for being here tonight.
Glad to be here, Kara. And this is an interesting topic to unpack.
It really is. I mean, what do you make of this media frenzy from over the weekend? Joe Scarborough, he's still talking about it on MSNBC, but he deleted that post that he made about it on X. It almost seems like there's some cognitive dissonance going on right now.
Well, I think it can't be a good thing for somebody like Joe Scarborough to get spanked by Elon Musk on X. And the reach of that is far exceeding anything that MSNBC can put out. So I'm sure he took it down for that reason. I think that what this indicates in a broader sense is that the marching orders essentially have gone out to the so-called mainstream media, that the narrative against Trump will be that he is an authoritarian, that he will be a dictator, that he will sweep aside all of our democratic institutions. And so taking this statement about a bloodbath in the American auto industry if he is not reelected, and then you have a continuance of the Biden auto policies, which have been disastrous, is just an attempt to fit into that narrative of Trump being an authoritarian. So they couldn't resist themselves, even though anyone who fairly watched the full context would have known that he wasn't talking about anything physical. And look, language is figurative, right? We use words like fight when we mean argue in an information war. We use words like carnage when we talk about someone being shredded on a debate field,